My name is Carl Loweth. I farm here with my brother Dave, my son Ben. We milk 370 cows here in Wentworth County 3 times a day. Altogether we have about 740, 750 head on the property. What that means is our water usage continues to increase to the point where we think we're doing about using about 12 or 14,000 gallons of water a day. Unfortunately, we can't get a good well here on the property. This area, for some reason, doesn't lend itself to good wells. What that has meant for us is we rely on a pond for our water source. We've, over the years, we've enlarged the pond. Just as recently as last year, we raised the level up a couple of feet, increased the height of the overflow, and did some work around an embankment at the one end, just to have a sufficient supply of water, because the pond requires some springs to feed it, but that isn't enough, and we rely on some runoff from the water to supplement the springs that feed the water. In a normal year, it's not a problem, but a couple of years ago, when it got extremely dry and late into the summer and the fall, we did run out of water, and the water quality was pretty poor, and we ended up buying water here for 2 or 3 weeks. So that was the reason we increased the capacity of the pond. Because the ponds rely on some runoff, when we built the barn that we're in right now, it's 14, almost 15 years old. We wanted to capture the water that's coming off the roofs. So along the western side of the barn, we put a sewer line, if you like, a water line that's about a foot in diameter, a concrete sewer type line with 5 different catch basins that capture the water coming off the roof. And because of the lay of the land, the way it is, we can run it down very, very close to our pond. We spill it out into a grass waterway before it actually gets into the pond. And this summer we completed construction of a new barn, and it's parallel with this barn, and they're both 500 feet long, so huge roof areas. And we put a similar line in between the 2 barns to catch the rainwater coming off the new barn. As well, in the new barn, where the drip line is off the roof, we're going to put about 3 or 4 feet of stone, about 1.5 feet deep, and underneath that we're going to put a 6-inch corrugated black tile. So we're going to catch that water just right as it comes off the roof, and we're going to tie that line into the line that goes down to the pond. So we think we can capture a lot of the rainwater coming off the roofs. Another thing that we do here to help conserve some water, the water that we use for washing the milking machines and the pipelines and the bulk tank, that all gets drained into a 1,500 gallon tank that we have sunk in the utility room floor, and we have a submersible pump there. And then we use that gray water to hose off all the platforms and all the areas where the cows are when they're being milked, and that ends up in the holding area along with the manure. But that water we're using twice, and we do that 3 times a day, so it saves us a considerable amount of water as well. Anybody who's run out of water can appreciate the value of water. And we're very much aware of hot, dry summers. We've experienced them, maybe not so much this year, but certainly in the past. It seems it was getting warmer, and we went through 3 or 4 summers before this one where it just seemed like you were waiting for every rain to come. So I'm a firm believer in climate change, that theory that it's going to be hotter and drier, and I think water is going to be more and more of an issue all the time, and we just have to look at what's happening in California and some of those other jurisdictions where the whole agricultural industry is going to be changed because of the lack of water. And water is it's an expensive commodity, and the more you can do to limit that expense as far as pumping it or bringing it on site or doing something. I think it just makes a lot of economic sense. And there's a lot of good research to show that the cattle really respond to high quality water. And I think it's always something that people take for granted and needs to be given more consideration.